I'm here at the United Sports Training Center once again with Parisi speed coach Eric Mitchell. Eric, it may say summer in July, but the fall sports are coming up, and one of the most popular ones has to be football. And we see in training camp there's a lot of injuries that come up in the first week, 2 weeks of the season. What are some ways football players can prevent injuries?
Well, I think that you track it back to this. Football is really a year-round sport. So in reality, the athletes are going to be working out year-round to prep themselves for the summer months when they're going to be getting into training and everything like that. We're big believers in this, making sure that the athlete is strong, that the athlete is mobile, and the athlete's flexible year-round. So an active dynamic warm-up, which we covered before, Kieran, is certainly going to prevent those injuries, or let's just say not necessarily prevent, but we're going to talk about mitigating injuries. So athletes lessen the likelihood that they're going to get injured. I say this, if an athlete's going to be strong, an athlete's fast, an athlete's mobile, an athlete's flexible, they stand less likely a chance of getting hurt when they simply just walk in. The standard is this, and I tell you it's amazing, I hear it all the time. I get my college athletes, they get ready, they come in, and they come in July, when in reality they've got their paperwork, they got everything set up for their workouts, which start in August. So they're ill-equipped and ill-prepared. So as long as they come in prepared for their preparatory phase before the season starts, it just makes them all that more better and less likely to get injured.
And the other thing is, with summertime, those temperatures can get scorching, especially on a turf like what we're standing on right now. And dehydration has to be one of the biggest problems with athletes going into the fall calendar. What is one thing an athlete can do to properly hydrate themselves?
Well, listen, we're standing out here right now. The temperature outside is probably about 85 degrees. The turf temperature is over 100 degrees right now. Athletes need to be thinking about hydration before the actual event, the day before the actual event. They need to be hydrating that day before, into the evening, and then throughout the session. Gone are the days of this. It's amazing. I still think some coaches are archaic in their thoughts. Gone are the days of not letting a kid drink during the session. Those kids need to be properly hydrated, or here's what's going to happen. They're either going to get injured or they're going to die. Because every year we see this happen where athletes are passing out, falling apart, and dying on the football field, soccer field, hockey fields, or everything like that, because they have not acclimated themselves to the heat. So that's another part of it. It's not just hydration, it's an acclimating to the heat. So they have to get out in June, in July, and get themselves ready for when it really gets hot.
The whole hydration process, what do you recommend an athlete should do with how much they should drink? What should they drink? Are there any tips on something like that?
Well, I mean, listen, gone are the days of the standard where they said it's 8 ounces, 6 glasses of 8 ounces. It really is going to depend on the athlete's height and weight, and you have to measure that. So it's a percentage of how much they lose. In fact, think of it like this. There are some programs out there, football programs especially, who have to do this. They have to weigh their athletes. And if they see the athletes drop below a certain point, bang, they got to hydrate them. They might even have to put an IV in them to hydrate them. So it's based on body fat percentages, it's based on weight, it's based on height. So it's become a science, hydration. It's not just go out and get a drink out of the hose, like I did as a kid. Now what's happening is they're really starting to dial down and really get an understanding of where the athlete is in terms of their body weight.
And it's funny, you always have a million tricks up your sleeve, always a tip or some kind of way to get better and just prevent a simple nagging injury possibly. And we're walking out here on the turf and you tell me that there's a great way to prevent getting blisters. What is that?
Yeah, it's an interesting story. So everybody knows Coach Wooden, most decorated basketball coach on the planet. And here's the thing about him that was incredible. His consistency from start to finish of everything that he did, even the little things. So Kieran and I were talking about this, and here's what happened. Every time he would get athletes into his gym, even national championship caliber athletes, we're national champions. And the first lesson he would do is he'd have them all take their shoes and socks off. They'd take those off, they'd learn how to put their socks on because there's a specific way to do it. It's designed a certain way if you look at a sock. That's to prevent blisters, to encourage consistency as well, and then also put their shoe on and tie it properly. I'm amazed in my own speed school when I see kids come in and the first instinct I say take your shoes off. They flip the shoes off without untying them. Not only do they cost their parents a lot of money to get new shoes, but what's happening is mechanically they're setting themselves up for injury. So I love how you tied this back. We're tying it back in. Coach wouldn't use that to get his athletes to understand consistency, that there's reasons you do something to help prevent injury. So if you set the stage, get your socks on properly, put your shoes on properly, tie them properly, you stand less likely a chance of hurting yourself. And I think it tracks back to everything we just talked about in this series.
Well, Eric, thanks again for you're
my pleasure.
always a genius when it comes to all these things. So stay tuned to Inside the Athletic Grind. Be sure to follow us on Facebook and Twitter. I'm Kieran McCauley.